there's two awful things that are being done with this George Floyd video or case. One thing obvious, the most obvious, of course, is that George Floyd's death was very wrong. It was wrongful. I don't care if the guy just did armed robbery or, just like I don't care what he was doing. If you have a person, a human being on the ground, detained with handcuffs on their, with their hands handcuffed behind their back, there is zero reason to sit there for 6 or 7 minutes or more. Whoever knows how long the guy, I only seen the 6-minute video or whatever, and he was on his neck the whole time. But to sit there like that, knowing that the guy is detained, knowing that there's nothing he can do, that is an absolutely horrific, awful, just POS move by this cop. So I think that cop specifically, and the Asian one standing there not doing anything, I think that both of those cops are just scum of the earth, and both of them should be thrown in prison. Getting fired is not nearly good enough. That's absurd. Who on earth murders somebody on the clock and then only just loses their job? That's absurd, guys. These people should be in prison. No question. No, there's no evidence that would help their case. Not that I've seen. So I think that these guys should at minimum be in prison. That being said, what I think is also horrific, not nearly as bad as the death of George Floyd, which was obviously wrongful, but what I also think is horrific is how the media is using this to force on another racist, like a racist cop narrative. And here's the thing, guys, that cop could be racist. I'm not saying he's not. He very well could be racist, but the only evidence that I've seen, at least in this video, is that he's just an awful cop. So I'm not jumping to the conclusion of saying he's racist. I keep hearing about how this is a race crime because a white guy killed a black guy, but nobody is talking about the Asian guy who's just sitting there watching. He's a cop too, guys. So this is why I think it's irresponsible. I'm not saying that the cop that killed the black guy isn't racist. I'm not saying he's not racist. He could be, but we don't know that just based off this video. So it's super irresponsible for the media to make an uprising, just like create this aggression and make it sound like either all cops, there is a police brutality issue, but it's not just white on black. It's some police officers, some cops, and let's be honest, anybody that has power, some of them abuse their power and do evil things. That is not making excuses for this. I think that the cops are horrible. They should be in prison at least, if not put to death. And I'm saying that about the cops. Maybe not the Asian one. You could argue he did a horrible thing by sitting there watching, but he wasn't the one with the foot on the neck or the knee on the neck. So I don't know that killing that guy is necessary. But at minimum, these cops should be in prison for the rest of their effing lives. However, that being said, I don't know yet. I'm not saying it's not going to come out later, but at this moment, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was a full-on hate crime, a racist hate crime. I'm saying that cop was a horrible piece of you-know-what, and he should be put to death for what he did. Now, that's not making excuses. I'm going very harsh on this cop. At the same time, though, guys, we can't keep inserting racism with no evidence just because the victim and the criminal, I guess, the cop, however you want, the murderer, the assailant, I'm messing up the words here, guys, but you get the point. Just because the victim is a different color than the person who murdered them does not make it automatically racist. It's irresponsible to shoot to that, and here's why, guys. It's not that I'm trying to cover for the white cop. I think it's horrible. I think it's horrible when any cop does anything like this to anybody, whether it's white on white, black on black, Asian on Mexican. Regardless what color you choose, it's always awful. This does not make it a racist crime. That makes it extra damaging for the public, and here's why. Because now you're getting guys like LeBron James, you're getting athletes, you're getting family members and friends going on social media posts attacking it from a racial standpoint. This does not help end racism in America. It does not help eliminate racism when we create racism out of stories where we don't know it exists. like I said, it may come out later that the white cop and the Asian cop are both racist against black people. They may both hate black people with every ounce or fiber of their being, but we don't know that yet. So to assume that and get everyone in the country riled up about race and hate crimes is super irresponsible. It's not helpful for anybody. It certainly doesn't justify anything for George Floyd's family. So my point is this, guys, unless you know for a fact that the cop did this specifically because of racial indifferences, stop. All media, all family members, everybody I know, including myself, let's stop assuming racism when we have no evidence yet to show it. If there is evidence to show it, then I'm all for it, guys. If we find out later that this cop hates all black or anybody that's not white, then okay, let that information be out. Let's make it even harder on him to when he's in prison or in life. If you're not going to arrest the guy, if you're not going to put this white cop in jail, then if we know he's racist, if we can prove that he's racist, I want everyone to know that. I want that information out because I want his life to be awful from here on out. And if everyone assumes this guy is racist, look at George Zimmerman, perfect example. Everyone automatically put the race, and I'm not saying that it wasn't a race thing. My point is, once everyone said that Zimmerman was a racist, dude, his life is never going to be the same. No matter how much money he gets, how many books he sells, any of that stuff, everyone that knows him is going to tie him to this forever. He is going to be incredibly hated around the country minimum because of the racist act. So I don't know one way or the other whether or not this cop is racist. I have zero evidence of that so far. All I know is that a horrible cop did an awful crime, basically murder under any normal circumstance. It looks like he murdered this guy while the guy was handcuffed and couldn't even defend himself. That to me is murder, and this cop should be in prison. And every awful thing that comes to him, I can't make excuse, like I can't, say it's not justified. It absolutely would be, because this guy should never have done what he did. That being said, though, for the media and all the people that are turning this into a race thing, all you're doing when you do that is you're making it extra tense for different color people to be around each other, especially cops. You're making it extra difficult. There are very good cops out there who are the farthest thing from racist. And when we make these stories and keep advertising these stories, people are assuming that all white cops are racist against black people. And that's guys, there are cases that happened a few years ago, maybe even more recent than that I don't know of, but there are cases that are documented where black criminals or murderers were going out, finding cops that were white and just murdering them. The cop didn't do anything to that person, and that person didn't do anything to the cop beforehand. And then all of a sudden, we hear about racial injustice and police brutality and how racist cops are. And then all of a sudden, you start seeing a few people here and there start hunting down cops. This is not safe for anybody, guys. This only creates more racial tension with people when there might not even be any there to begin with. So all I'm saying, guys, feel free to just dog this guy and both of the cops. Feel free to just say all the mean, hateful things you can about the person. The problem that I'm seeing, though, is when you create a racist narrative, it now makes the rest of the people have to suffer or be on edge or have tension amongst other colors. Guys, it's not... The world as a whole is not as bad as we make it. We find cases like this that are awful and you cannot justify them, and then we create narratives that might not even be there. Like I said many times, guys, before anyone's turning on me and thinking I'm awful or trying to defend, I'm not defending the cop at all. I think he's a horrible piece of you-know-what. I'm trying to keep this as PG as possible. All I'm saying is, guys, we don't know for sure at this moment, and like I said, it could change. We don't know at this moment that this cop is a racist, and we shouldn't be assuming white cops are racist against black people and that black people can't walk down the street without getting killed. We're creating terror in people's minds when it's not It's not a given. It's not a guarantee. It's not like every time you walk out of the house, you're guaranteed to be at risk of losing your life. I mean, you could say that really about anything. Anytime you get behind the wheel of a car, you could say your life is in danger. We don't ban cars, or we don't dog cars and say that they're all awful and that bad things happen with them. We take our chances. The same thing goes with the police. Just because you see a case like this where you see 1 or 2 or 12 bad cops, you can't assume they're all bad. You can't label all police officers as bad. There are really good, honest, hardworking police officers who want to protect you, and we are damaging their reputation by making assumptions based on one video. And we're, especially when you add race into the whole equation, now you're adding an extra layer that is not necessarily there, guys. So all I'm saying is, this could be a racist case, sure, but it is more a case of a very awful, evil police officer, 2 of them to be factual. 2 awful police officers who deserve prison for life. That's all we know, okay? So my heart goes out to George Floyd and his whole family, and I pray that they're okay and they can get past this. Please don't use this as a stain on all cops and all white people, or all anybody that commits a crime against a different color person. We cannot keep asserting racism if we don't know it's there. Now, if you know it's there, I am more than happy to pile on and say, yes, this race, guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but I dog the KKK just as much as any other racist group there is. Anybody who's racist and thinks for some stupid reason that your skin color makes you better, or in some way, that is an awful, idiotic, nonsensical way to live your life. So we need to stop with, first off, being racist is dumb. So I'm trying to eliminate it as a whole. I cannot do it alone. But when we see cops do things like this and the victim happens to be a different color, it just makes things worse. It makes racial tension thicker and heavier, and it makes us think about racism more than we maybe we should be. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I obviously know that it exists, but it's damaging to assert it when we don't know it's true. So guys, that's all I'll say about this situation. I hope and pray that that George Floyd's whole family recovers and gets through this time. I know it's a tragedy. I know it's awful. It's a horrible thing, and justice will be done in the long term. Trust me. I'm saying this from a Christianly standpoint. Even if these cops don't get their justice here, my theory is that they will get their justice when they leave here. So guys, I love you all, and I hope that this video is helpful. And please, guys, we got to eliminate racism. It takes all of us. I can't do it alone. Nobody can do it on their own. We all hate racism. Well, any decent human being hates racism, and we hate awful cops. We cannot lump all white people or all cops into this racist police brutality narrative. There are bad cops. There are racist cops. They're not all like that. So we got to look past that and only assert the facts as we see them. The fact is, a human being lost their life to a piece of, cop. And another cop just stood there watching. They should be in jail, minimum, for the rest of their life. That's the best. I don't know anything else I can really say about it, guys. I love you guys, and I hope this was helpful. Please, we all need to be better. We need to analyze the facts and call it as we see it. We can't keep adding stuff to the narrative that we don't know is there, because it only hurts everyone else. I love you guys, and I thank you for listening. I'll talk to you soon, all right? See ya.